In my over 3 years of coaching experience, if there's one thing that I see many coaches always wanting more of, that is clients. Finding new ways to generate new clients quickly and more sustainably. But one thing that many coaches lose sight of is how can I go about keeping the clients that enjoy working with me now, that rave about my services, longer. In this video, I want to share with you 5 principles that I follow with my coaching clients that allow me to not only generate new clients in my coaching business, but more importantly, retain those raving clients and keep them not just for 3 months to 6 months, but for 1 year to 2 years and beyond, working with me and wanting to continue to work with me beyond that point. This is the same principle that I've used to go from charging $100 an hour for my services to now charging upwards of $1,000 plus an hour for my services, while still retaining clients throughout those price increases along the way. What we're going to talk on up ahead has been a big driver in allowing me to have clients that worked with me early on in my journey when I was just charging $100 to $200 to $300 an hour, to continuing to work with me as I increase my prices to $750, $850, and upwards of $1,000 an hour. So stick with me up ahead as we talk through these 5 principles, and let's get into it. One thing I love about the coaching industry and the business that I'm in and the work that I do is the fact that the impact that I'm able to have on the clients that I serve is not only directly positively affecting their lives and their business, helping them produce greater results, helping them grow their coaching business, but it's also having a trickle-down effect where I'm able to impact their clients and their clients' clients by helping them understand how to coach their clients more effectively. And through that, with the clients I work with, I often get many questions and remarks from them basically pointing out how, as I'm coaching them, they're amazed at how I not only remember certain things in our relationship and their journey, but also how I'm able to make things very clear to them and make the complicated very simple. And they feel that when they walk away from coaching calls with me, they're very clear on what they need to execute on. They're clear on challenges they were once facing coming into the call that we helped clarify through our work, and they walk away from the call feeling excited and ready to get back to work and take more action. Sometimes for the clients I'm working with, they share with me that the clients that they're helping, they're wondering, hey, I feel like some of my clients aren't really walking away from my calls as clear as I am with you. How do you go about setting the right expectations and coaching them in a way where they're excited to take action on what you're talking on? Because I feel like for me as a coach right now, my clients aren't really resonating with what I'm saying. What I'm going to share with you up ahead in this video, and these principles I'm going to go over up next, is going to be a massive help in terms of helping you understand how to more effectively communicate with your clients, how to more effectively coach your clients, how to keep your clients wanting to continue to come back and work with you for not just 3 to 6 months, but for 1 to 2 years. And more importantly, a big piece that drives all of that, how to put your client in a position to achieve much greater results with your services and with your coaching. Principle number 1, clear communication. This goes beyond just being able to talk and communicate with your clients, but actually, more importantly, actively listening when you're on calls with your clients, showing that you're listening to them and hearing them. And a big way to show that you're actually hearing them and listening to them is by asking them deeper questions. More than often, I see many coaches out there prescribe and give advice before actually diagnosing and understanding and hearing that client out. And a client may come to a coaching call upset about something, worried about the fact they're not getting results doing a certain thing, or anxious because they were wishing they were getting results sooner. And what the coach often does in early stages is they feel worried. They feel stressed out because their client isn't seemingly happy. Their client isn't getting the results they want. And they want so much to get them to those results, but at the same time, they want them to be happy. So in turn, they try to give them quick solutions to things. They try to give them more resources or assets they think would make them happy by giving them more information. But in reality, what we need to do here is clearly understand our client, get to the bottom of what it is that's really causing them to feel this feeling, and then from there, communicate on what needs to change and set their expectations accordingly for that change going forward. Oftentimes, coaches get so caught up in talking about what they need to do and how they need to do it without actually making sure that client understands clarity behind why they're doing that thing. And to me, if a client doesn't have clarity on why they're doing the thing to begin with, this is where there starts to be some separation that takes place between that coach and that client relationship. Because oftentimes that client may not feel comfortable in asking questions right away, especially if the expectations weren't set accordingly to start for them to feel open asking questions. So they may be hiding, they may be unclear on what is going on here. They're trying to take action, they're not seeing the results they want, and they're frustrated. But if you're seeing them frustrated about not seeing results, and you're just telling them, hey, we need to do more of this thing and take more action on this, they're gonna feel not heard, they're gonna feel not understood. And what you need to do is pause, take a second, ask them questions to understand what they're feeling right now, how they're feeling blocked, how they're feeling unsure, and what's causing that. Make sure that you're taking some time to clarify that for them, helping them understand and see the big picture. And then from there, once you guys are on the same page, they see it, and you know that they see that, then you can go into the steps and the action changes that need to take place for them to improve their results. Secondly, on the communication topic, another big thing that coaches struggle with, and I struggle with myself with early on as well, is setting clear expectations and being upfront with those expectations. Because if we aren't taking the time to clearly show our clients what we expect of them throughout our time together going forward, how we're going to work together going forward, what we need from them if they want to be in a position to actually get results, and how this will work in our relationship in the future, they're going to show up doing their own thing and doing what they think is best. And what they think is best may not be what you know is best as the trusted advisor and the expert in this instance that's guiding them along the way to get to the destination that they're wanting to work towards. Principle number 2 is congratulate them. Celebrate their wins. Point out the successes that they have along the way. Remind them of the growth that they've accomplished from the start of working with you to where they are now. And do this not just when they're bringing up wins at the start of the call, but do this on a regular basis. To me, when I'm coaching a client, I always like to begin group and one-to-one coaching calls starting with positive wins, celebrating the growth, celebrating the gains, and giving them a pat on the back for the work they've done. Because I don't know about you, but for me as an entrepreneur, especially early on, I didn't do this enough. I didn't give myself enough credit for the work that I was putting in, for the wins that I was celebrating. And I was so focused on moving to the next milestone and moving to the next win. So be sure to take some time to not only ask them, hey, what did you do this week? What wins popped up this week? What are some actions that you took that you're proud of this week? Remind them and give them a pat on the back and reassure them that they're doing some good things and they're progressing forward. And also take some time to zoom out and remind them of where they came from at the start of your relationship to where they are now and how much progression has taken place. The more that we can be of a constant reminder to them of the growth that's taking place in their journey that oftentimes they lose sight of and don't see, and show them how from an outside perspective and a coach, you're seeing them grow day after day through your guidance and through the action that they're taking, and showing them real proof of how you're seeing this take place, it's going to make them feel good, it's going to make them feel delighted, and it's going to make them feel excited to take more action, get more positive remarks from you and feedback from you, and continue to do this going forward. I've had many instances where I worked with a client for 6 months to a year, watched them achieve amazing growth and amazing wins throughout that time, but they hit a month or a couple of weeks where they were working on a project and they weren't seeing the sales numbers that they wanted during that time or what they expected during that time. And they maybe came to a call disappointed in themselves for not seeing these results or for falling a little bit short of the goals that they were working towards. This is a great time for you to, number one, help them see why that may be, but number two, remind them of how far they've come. Zoom out and go back to the beginning of their journey. And I do this very often, showing them, hey, when we started, you were at 2K months, making them inconsistently, not knowing how to consistently get to 10K months. And here you are now, just coming off your third consecutive 10K month. The growth that's taken place over these last 8 months in your journey is incredible. And you should be giving yourself a pat on the back for that. But also know that there's going to be some bumps in the road. And there's going to be some months where we are building other things, and in turn it pulls our focus away from sales, and we're not able to achieve the growth or the goals that we want in that particular month. But it doesn't mean that you're back at ground zero. You've grown a lot over these last 8 months. We had a down month this month, but let's pick up next month and pick up back on track with what we've done over these last 8 to get back going towards the goals we're working towards. These are moments where the client can step back and see, wow, I was too close to this and beating myself up over the results that I produced this month. But Blake, you're right. Thanks for pointing out the fact that how much I have grown over these last 8 months, because it's easy for me to lose sight of as the client and someone that's working so hard. And small things like this go a long way in not only deepening that relationship between the coach and the client, but also helping that client more clearly understand how far they've come and stay aligned with the journey and the path they're heading on with you as a coach. Which leads me to principle number 3 that we just briefly talked on, which is remind. Now, when I say remind, I mean this in a few ways. What we just talked on was reminding of them of wins, of growth, of how far they've come, of where they were at when they started working with you as a coach to where they are now. These are all great reminders that we can instill and regularly instill in our client on coaching calls to help them see and remember how far they've come, and to also help them create deeper belief in the path you're taking them on, to show them we're doing awesome things together and we're going to continue to do awesome things together if we stay on this path. But we also should be taking some time to remind our clients of things that they committed to doing, action steps that they said that they would take action on. And this comes in a variety of ways, which I'll bring up an example up here next. To me, if you're on a coaching call and you're ending a coaching session, the client has clarity on what they came with that maybe they were challenged with coming into the call. You're getting to the end of the call and you're talking on action steps over the next few weeks until your next meeting. What I always like to do is remind my client at the end of the call, hey, with what we talked on today, what action steps are you committed to going forward over these next 2 weeks until we meet next? And what this is doing is now putting ownership in their court and just making them actually take ownership in these actions that they need to take, and telling me, hey, Blake, I know you just went over some of these action steps, but these are the things that you said. I heard them, I listened to them, and I'm committed to doing these things. And this in turn is what leads to much greater action. Versus the flip side, where you maybe just say at the end of the call, hey, make sure you do this week, this week, and this week. But if it's just you saying those things at the end of the call and you reminding them, that's not them taking ownership. That's you just being a reminder to them, which is good. But we want them to take ownership so we can remind them in the future on if or whether they did not follow through with those steps. So at the end of the call for me, I'm putting the ball in their court, asking them to say, hey, what are the action steps we're committed to going forward? And if they say it, they're owning it. If I simply say it, they may doubt it and not own up to it. But if they are sharing it and they say it, we know that they listened, we know they heard it, and we know that they're owning it. And then 1 to 2 weeks later, as time has passed till our next call, me as a coach, I'm going to be checking in with them and reminding them, hey, I know last we spoke a week ago. These are the steps that you were committed on working towards. How are things going with it? Checking in with them, asking how things are going, and also reminding them of, hey, you committed to these things, let's make sure we follow through with them. Which leads us right into the fourth principle, which is empowering our clients. What we just talked on, a lot of which of reinforcing and reminding them of what they're committed to and following up with them on that. This is empowering them to follow through with those actions and take action on them. Having them recap the action steps for you is empowering them to take action. It's reminding them, having them recap those action steps for you at the end of the call is not only reminding them of what they need to do, but empowering them to take action and putting the ball in their court. We want to continue to empower our clients as a coach. And we can empower them through the ways that we just talked on. And we can also empower them by showing them our belief in their ability, by reminding them of how far they've come, by helping them understand when they're getting too close to something and feeling frustrated with something that, hey, this is just a bump in the road. I've experienced this myself. And a great way to empower our clients is when they're feeling down or when they're not feeling empowered and when they're feeling like maybe things aren't going their way. This is where you can pull in an example of not only you in the past, of when you experienced this same feeling or the same pain or the same frustration, what it looked like for you and how you got through it, or a client in the past that you helped break past the same thing. What this does is it helps them understand that they're not alone, that they're not the only unique instance or individual that's experiencing this thing right now in their journey. And by making them feel not alone and not independent in their journey, showing them that you're there for them as a coach, but also showing that you have experienced this before as the expert that's coaching them. And many of the clients you've worked with before has experienced this too. It's making them understand that, hey, what I'm going through is normal. And this in turn is empowering them to break past this, push through it, knowing that they're not a unique instance that's only experiencing this themselves. And if they get through this, they'll see the other side and good things will come from it. And sometimes that clear understanding of the fact that they're not alone and hearing your story as to how you got through this in the past is enough to empower them to feel at ease with what's going on and to also be more willing to take action and get through what's taking place so they can get to the other side and grow forward. The fifth and final principle to keep your clients coming back to you over and over and over again and wanting to continue to work with you is always focusing on evolving your delivery and your coaching. This is something to me that many coaches overlook in their journey because they get something going that's working and then they feel like, okay, things are good. I don't need to continue to change things or make things better. And this is more than often what causes clients to drop off along the way because they see that this coach they're working with isn't evolving their services, isn't evolving the way that they're working with clients, isn't evolving the way that they're delivering to clients. And if you're taking on more clients as a coach and you're not evolving the way that you're delivering to your clients along the way, it's going to lead to much less client satisfaction because you're not able to deliver the same experiences that you once were at a smaller level. For me in my coaching business over these last 3 years, I have always prioritized evolving my products, my services, and my delivery structure. And this comes in a variety of ways. For me at first, when I initially launched my coaching program, it was simply a Facebook community where I answered questions in the Facebook group. The training videos were in the guide section of the Facebook community, and I hosted multiple live calls a week with me inside that community. As the program progressed and grew, I knew that I needed to level it up to continue to keep my clients coming back to me and also to be able to support and serve more clients going forward. So I developed my coaching program in a variety of different ways. I took it from just being a Facebook group to then bolting on an official course and training area, to adding a new community that was more developed and robust, that was off of Facebook where there wasn't as many distractions, to then launching a new community that was off of Facebook where distractions were much less, not actually on that social platform, and it was in its own private environment that allowed me to offer more of a custom branded support solution that was completely separate of Facebook, that was around my brand, my experience. And in turn, clients fell in love with it. They saw the work that I put into creating that community and they were blown away with that community that they were in and the support that they got there in comparison to any other coaching community that they were involved with. This evolution goes much beyond that as well. As you start as a coach, more than often it's just you coaching clients at one-to-one level. Then maybe you start to add on a course and training videos to help you more effectively coach your clients by giving them assets and videos to watch in private when you're not on calls, you can make your time more effective on calls. But even as I just mentioned, as I launched my own training program and my own new community, it wasn't enough to just say, okay, now these things are built and I'm done. It was always ask myself, how can I make my training more clear? How can I make my training better? What are some areas of my training that I'm noticing my clients are getting stuck at? And how can I make this more simple and easier for them to follow so future clients coming in are doing even better, having even more clarity and achieving greater results? And it's a constant process of rinsing and repeating, asking yourself, what can I eliminate? What can I improve? What can I change? And how can I make my coaching experience greater for my clients to not only make them happier, to show them that I'm evolving, and to put them in a position to achieve greater results. And this is a very important key piece into maintaining and keeping our clients for the long term. Because if we're not showing our clients that we're prioritizing making our products and services better and better and better, then they're in turn going to walk away from us and choose to work with us for somebody else that is putting in the time and effort to do that. To me, there's always room for improvement. And the products and the services that I offer now are so much more dialed and optimized than where I was once at when I first started. And this is because I constantly made effort to put time and attention towards making my products and service better, developing them in new ways, and ultimately evolving them in ways that would benefit my clients through the experience that I gained in coaching many clients before them. We learn a lot of lessons through the roadblocks and the challenges that our clients face early on, and it's very important that we take those learnings and put them into useful changes and developments and evolution into our own programs. And by doing this, we're further dialing and optimizing our process so new clients coming in are able to achieve greater results in a shorter period of time, and the clients that we're continuing to work with are seeing how we're progressing, how we're making our products and services better and better and better along the way, making them feel no choice but to want to continue to stick around and be a part of this, because they know that they're a part of something that's special, they're seeing how much it's helping them, and they want to continue to win with the guidance they're receiving from you as a coach. So that's a wrap on the principles that I've deployed in my coaching business over these last 3 years that's not only allowed me to achieve 3 consecutive multi-six-figure years in my coaching business, but more importantly, allowed me to maintain clients that I've worked with from early on in my journey to still up until this point, and ultimately maintain strong, solid, and consistent client satisfaction by embodying these 5 principles in my coaching with them and the products and services that I'm delivering. And what we covered today is really scratching the surface on this entire topic. And for those of you that are coaches that are looking to tap into knowledge, experience, and breakthroughs that I've gained along my journey and growing and scaling my coaching business to now crossing 7 figures over these last 3 years, then I invite you to click the link in the description below and join me in the Coaching Chronicles. This is a new product that I just introduced, and the entire goal of this product is to give you insider access to experiences, lessons, and takeaways from my journey up until this point to arm you with knowledge so you can see up in front of you what's coming ahead, and to ultimately shortcut your journey to achieving the growth and the success that you're working towards in your own coaching business, and to help you get on a similar path to me and the growth that I've been able to achieve over these last 3 years of my own. So be sure to check that out in the description below. Join me and take advantage of the founders pricing that we have going on right now, allowing you to lock yourself in at the lowest price this will ever be offered for again. And beyond that, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that thumbs up button before you head out. And if you have not yet already, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you're not missing out on any future content that we release on the channel. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Hopefully you got some value on this video, and I look forward to seeing you back on the next one very soon. Peace.